Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. My name is Russell Leeds.
My name is Ricci Mandal.
And on this week's show, we're going to be talking about how much money do you need to earn in the UK to be rich. So, Ricky.
Yes.
Are you rich?
I am.
Not by name, by... Obviously, you are rich. You're Richard, right? Ricky's sort of a Richard.
No, my name's just Ricky.
Is it really?
Yeah.
On your birth certificate, it just says Ricky.
Yeah, but for some reason, whenever I'm around you guys, you all call me Richard.
I thought your name was Richard.
My name's not Richard.
On your birth certificate, it says Ricky.
Yes.
And is it spelt wrong as well? I.e. how you spell it?
How can you define how a name's spelt wrong or right?
Well...
Is your name Russell?
It is Russell.
Is it spelt correctly, though?
Yes, it is. Same as other Russells, like Russell Howard, Russell Brand.
And my name's Ricky.
Yeah, but your name is not spelt like Ricky Martin, is it? Other Rickies, your name is spelled R-I-C-C-I.
Because I'm different.
Well, yes, you are. It's wrong, though, isn't it?
How can it be wrong?
Because it's not how you spell Ricky.
Well, hold on. When it comes to names, there's not a right and a wrong, is there?
Yes.
How is there?
All right, let me ask you a question. When you go to the bank or somewhere, right, and you go, they go, what's your name? And they're filling out a form.
Yeah.
And you go, Ricky.
Yeah.
Do you have to clarify how Ricky is spelled?
Sometimes, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that most people spell it differently.
Do you always have to clarify how it's spelled? Every single time? Every single
here's a question.
time?
Here's a question. Do you have your steak medium or rare? Or well done?
I have it medium rare in between.
Right. I have mine rare.
All right.
And that's just how it is. It's just a preference, isn't it? It's just,
what's that got to do with anything?
I don't know.
Look. Your name.
It's the same principle, though, isn't it? You know, there's no right or wrong. It's just whatever you.
No, because if you were like, look, a rare steak is spelled R-I-Y, I'd be like, well, that is wrong. And you could say, yeah, but I want to spell it that way. It's
but my name's not in the dictionary, so how can it be right or wrong if it's not in the dictionary?
Look, this is totally irrelevant.
It is.
But you are definitely wrong, and your name is spelled wrong. Okay, so first question then, Rich. Are you rich?
Yes.
Good. Okay, we're not going to talk about your name anymore. What constitutes rich? What does it mean to be rich here in the UK?
Well, I mean, I think it's an opinion, isn't it? I think it's...
Whew, groundbreaking facts here on the Property Investors Podcast. It's an opinion. What is your opinion?
I might just walk off this podcast in a minute. I think everyone's got different opinions. Like, I reckon most people, the average person would think that rich would, in this country, mean that you're a millionaire.
Okay.
I think being rich means, I think you live your desired life.
Okay.
And rich doesn't just have to be financially rich. It could be rich with happiness, rich with love. When you're rich with love, happiness, and finances, meaning you live your desired lifestyle, I think that's an all-round richness.
Okay.
You like the way I said that then?
What, richness?
You know, it was more of a...
How do you spell richness?
R-I-C-C-I.
Right. So...
Took you a minute then to get that.
It took me longer than it should have done. So
and then as well.
So if we're talking monetary rich, which I think most people that go, oh yeah, I'm really rich. Oh, how rich are you? Well, I'm very happy. Do you know what I mean? Most people are talking about financial rich. So you would say rich enough to be able to live your desired lifestyle, or a millionaire, somewhere in between?
No, I'd say for me, I think being rich is enough so that you have enough to live your desired lifestyle.
And how much is that?
20 grand a month.
It's about 20 grand a month. So would you say on earnings rather than how much money is in the bank?
Oh, no, these are good questions. No, I wouldn't say money in the bank, because we tend to not keep money in the bank because we invest it.
Okay, assets then.
Yeah, assets.
See, I would very much see rich more as how much assets or money in the bank or properties you owned, rather than your cash flow. For me, rich... You could have a very good salary. You could be on 20 grand and waste it all.
Yeah.
Would you be rich?
You are correct.
No, you wouldn't.
I haven't thought of it like that.
So yeah, I would very much say rich. So a rich person is a person that can manage their money.
Yeah. This is interesting.
I will hope so.
Yeah.
I hope the viewers think it's as interesting as you do.
It is interesting. I've never really thought of it like that.
Which is why a lot of property investors are rich. It's how people become rich by accident. Because people become rich by accident, they buy a property
and it goes up,
and it appreciates in value, and they become a millionaire because their property, they're slowly paid off the mortgage, and now they're a millionaire through their property. But a lot of those people don't feel rich. I was speaking to a guy who was a property investor, and he had a couple of buy-to-lets. And he was actually financially struggling. He didn't have very much cash flow coming in. He'd lost his job, and he had rental income, but not very much. And he was like, "Oh, I'm really poor." He was actually a millionaire because he owned his properties outright, but he didn't feel rich.
Yeah.
So while I do think it's about the assets, I think there is a balance there as well with feeling rich. And you talked earlier about your desired lifestyle. I do think a rich person would not only have assets, but be able to live their desired lifestyle as well.
I guess they go hand in hand. You know, they go together.
Here's the question though. We're talking about being rich in the UK. It'd be interesting to see how you guys at home, how you compare as well. Do you feel rich? Are you rich? I've got some interesting stats here, Rick. I'm going to get you to guess this, okay? Now, I actually shared this with Lee, our camera guy. I mean, he literally just presses the on button. That's about all he does. But he's good. He's good. Well done, Lee.
He presses it with,
with passion
and technique.
Yeah, he's like.
Yeah, and then not only that, he also over delivers and he gives us a thumbs up when it's recorded.
That's good. So here's the question. Sorry, Lee, but this is about to get a lot worse. Here's the question, right? So top earners in the UK.
Yeah.
Top earners in the UK. I want you to guess how much you need to be earning in the UK to be in the top 50% of the population for earners in the UK. How much money do you need to earn to be in the top 50%?
I would say around 36. I'm going to go 30.
30 grand.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Higher or lower? Higher. If you think higher, just give me a higher. If you think lower, give me a lower. Okay, so mainly most people think you need to be on more money, but higher than you. But you've gone for 30.
Yeah.
How much do you think? I'll give you the answers in a minute. How much do you think you need to be on to be in the top 25%? Top 25% in the country. How much money do you need to earn?
I'm going to say 46.
£46,000. What do you guys think, guys? Higher or lower? Higher, lower? Oh, but mostly higher again, right? What about the top 10%? Top 10%. Someone's shouting 150.
I'm going to say 100 and I'm going to say 110.
£110,000 to be the top 10%, and finally the top 1%.
I'm going to say 100 and... Let me think about this. So, in the 1%...
Top 1% of earners in the whole of the UK. I mean, if you're in the top 1%, you must be pretty rich, right? Top 1%. So how much do you think you need to be?
All right, I'm gonna up this now, and I'm gonna say 350.
350. All right, here we go. Let me give you your answer. It's actually a lot lower than all your answers.
Really?
Which is amazing, right? It just shows how people are struggling. I think it's amazing, right? So to be in the top 50% of earners in the UK, you need to be on £26,000 a year.
Wow.
If you are on £26,000, you are in the top 50% of earners in the UK. I mean, that's not much above minimum wage.
That's crazy.
To be in the top 25%, you need to be on £41,000. So if you're on £41,000, you're in the top 25% of the population of earners. So 10%. To be in the top 10%, it's a good salary, but come on, guys. To be in the top 10%, £63,000.
Top 10%?
Top 10%. So you could argue that if you were in the top 10% of earners in the UK, you were rich. You could, but you're only on £63,000. There's no way you'd be able to live your desired lifestyle. Well, certainly not Ricky's desired lifestyle. Depends on what yours is. But on £63,000, and that's before tax. So you're going to get taxed on that. So you're going to lose a load of that. You're not left with very much. And the top 1% is actually quite high. You were still above it though. The top 1% is £201,000 to be in the top 1%. So you could argue that to be rich, you have to be nowadays in the top 1%.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing I think is, how is anyone in the UK going to get rich how you would have described rich, i.e. millions in the bank and a £20,000 a month lifestyle? How is anyone going to get rich in the UK from a job?
Well, they're not. They're not.
They're not.
So that obviously that was, if you go back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that would have been completely different.
I imagine it was a lot lower.
Well, because
of inflation.
Everything's going up now, apart from them wages. Yeah, them wages, and that's why I think more people, are looking to do entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because just having a job just doesn't.
Well, the solution I know that we're on the Property Investors podcast, but the solution is property investing.
Yeah.
That is, if you want to get rich, you're not going to be able to do it for a job. It's just not going to happen, however good your job is.
But here's an interesting thing, though. When I started with property 5 years ago, and I was told about property investing, I was watching Samuel's videos and stuff. When I first saw Samuel, I thought, this isn't going to be for me, because you're talking about property investing and you have to be rich and have money to invest in property. And it was only when I met Samuel and I actually came to it was a £1 program. I could afford the pound. I came to a £1 program, and I realised that actually to be a property investor and a property entrepreneur, you don't actually need the money.
No.
Because you can just be creative to buy the houses, to control the houses, to package and sell the houses. You don't actually need to be rich to invest in property.
I mean, it's easier. If you've got money, it's easier. But you've got to start somewhere, right?
Of course it is.
So the great thing about becoming rich and we talked earlier about how it's creating the wealth behind you. It's about managing your money. But whatever you've got now, and a lot of people are obviously struggling because it's very low salaries, you've got to be looking at creative ways that you can get more money and create active income, and then you can use that to invest in property investing.
You say it's easier, which I agree with you to an extent, but we had a dinner with Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
You were there.
I was there.
And Samuel asked him, what would you do if you had 100 grand? How would you invest it? He said he would never use that 100 grand to invest himself. He would use other people's money. So
not actually what he said.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to say what he said because what he said, I don't think it was a little bit. I don't know if we should. You can say it, I'm not.
All right, so Samuel said to Robert Kiyosaki, if you were starting again from scratch and I gave you £100,000 to invest in, what would you do with that £100,000? And Robert Kiyosaki said... Robert Kiyosaki did not giggle like a teenage girl, by the way. Robert Kiyosaki said, I would wipe my ass with it. Is what he actually said.
He did.
And Samuel was like, wipe your ass with it? Why did you wipe your ass with it? And he said, because I don't need the 100 grand. It's nothing to me.
Yeah.
I would go and find other people's money to invest.
But for me, that shows, okay, we could argue the point it could be easier with your own money.
I don't agree with him, by the way.
You don't?
No. I wouldn't wipe my ass with it. What would you? Who do you agree with, Rick? Robert Kiyosaki or Russell Leeds? Russell Leeds would invest it wisely.
I mean,
Robert Kiyosaki would wipe his ass
with
his last 100 grand.
I'm just trying to think.
And he's the guru. Crazy.
Banknotes are slightly smaller than toilet paper. It would be difficult.
It would be difficult. But
do you think it's easier to use other people's money rather than your own? Your own rather than other people's?
Well, it's interesting. I think you should use other people's money, but I think it's easier to use other people's money when you have money.
Okay, go on, expand.
Explain, right? So, from my experience, I have managed to borrow money when I had no money. I have managed to do it, but I always think it's easier to borrow money. The banks want to lend me the most money when I've got money. The less you need it, the more other people want to give it to you.
Okay.
When you've got no money, it is harder. I'm not saying it's impossible. And with a lot of the strategies that we're talking about when they're getting started, things like rent to rent, you don't need a lot of money to get started. You only need a little bit. Deal selling, you don't need a lot of money to get started. But if you're looking to invest, I think it's easier to borrow other people's money when you have money. For starters, they know you've got some collateral to give them back, right? If you've got collateral, if you've got money, it's easier to get other money, which is why it grows.
Yeah.
It's harder when you first get started. It's doable. It's possible. You've got to start somewhere. I started with nothing. You started with nothing. Samuel started with nothing. But when you start with nothing, that's the hardest bit. And when you get your first couple of deals and you start to grow your portfolio, grow your bank balance, it then becomes easier. Surely you agree with that?
No, I agree. But I don't think it's really hard to raise finance, even if you've got no money, because when I started, invested in myself and I was raising finances for deals. And yes, if you've got money, then you can use it as collateral and security for an investor. But
makes it easier. I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm not saying it's hard, but do you not think it makes it easier when you have money? Money makes everything easier.
Well, I'm trying to think of it from a neutral position. I'm trying to think of it as, you are correct, yeah, I agree with you, but I also think if I want to do a joint venture with someone, let's say I've got no money, I could say to an investor, well, you can have a charge on the property, so if anything goes wrong, you've got the property.
But money gives you freedom, money gives you choices. Money does not make you happy, but it gives you options. Yeah. And I've been happy, and I'm
but
poor,
you're going
happy.
That's not to do with raising finance.
It makes it easier though, mate. It makes everything easier.
Yeah, but how? What I'm saying is being happy and all that stuff doesn't... What's that got to do with raising the finance?
This is a man that earlier said that being happy was a type of richness. And we're talking about getting rich. So being happy is relevant, but what I'm saying is money makes everything easier. Money makes everything better.
Yeah. It does.
So it makes raising finance easier because if it makes everything better and everything easier, that is part of everything, right?
I agree with you to an extent.
In what way do you disagree with me?
I'm not disagreeing. I just said I agree with you, but...
To an extent. That means there's an extent that you don't.
Does it?
Yeah, do you know what an extent means?
No, I just heard it been said a lot. No, I agree with what you're saying, but I also think if because I know people that have invested in themselves, they've invested in education, they've got a fire in their belly, they're hungry, they find a good deal, and they need to raise the finance, and they've put themselves in the right room, in the right environment, with the right deal and the right fire in their belly, and they can raise it no problem quickly.
See, you raised a bit of an interesting point there, where when you first get started, you are often very hungry.
Yeah.
And when you're hungry, that does make it easier getting over the first bit. If you haven't got anything, if you need it, it's very easy when you get rich. That's a good point. It's very easy when you get rich and you've got a lot of money. It's very easy to get very comfortable and get very lazy and complacent.
Yeah.
When you haven't got anything and you've got to get it. Which is why I actually think growing up poor and not rich actually makes it easier for you to be successful on your own than it does growing up rich. You grow up rich, you get everything handed to you on a plate. And it makes it harder to have the hunger there because you've just got everything.
Here's an interesting question. Do you think people with money are more likely to procrastinate and not invest their finances because it's theirs compared to people that borrow the money to invest? Do you know what I'm saying? Because if there's people that have the money and it's like, I'm thinking about investing it, but I don't want it to go wrong, I don't want to lose it. But then there's people that haven't got the money that are raising which are they more likely to procrastinate and not do anything because they've got their little nest egg and they want to hold on to it?
I think people that are savers often resist spending money.
Yeah.
Even if it's investing the money, because their natural mentality is to save, and they're scared. When they save, they're scared of losing it. So that's why when I save in two different pots. I save for saving, and I save for investing. So when I'm putting money in my investment pot, that's already gone to me.
Yeah,
it's invested.
Yeah.
So if an investment opportunity comes up, I'm not like, I don't want to spend the money because it's already gone.
Maybe that's a good tip for people. If you're able to save X amount a month, put some of it into a savings account and have another account which is an investing account.
100%.
Yeah.
And then that money's gone. So when an investment opportunity comes along, whether it be investing in yourself, or it be investing in Bitcoin, or it be investing in property, I think property is the number one investment. But it's just there. It's got, and you're just going to invest it, and then in your mind, it's investment. And then what you do is the profits from that investment go back into that pot.
Yeah.
And then that pot grows, and and then you got another investment, and then both of those profits go in, and it grows quicker, and you can buy more, and that's how you get rich. Getting rich is not a quick process.
No, you can get results quick.
You can get results quick. You can get passive income quite quick. So you can be in a situation where you're making a couple of grand a month. You can do that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You could even be making 10 grand a month pretty quickly. But getting rich
takes time,
in my opinion.
So we're talking about, the salaries in the UK, what is rich, how to become rich. But if there's people watching this or listening to this that are just starting out and maybe they fall in them brackets of them salaries and they want to make a change, what would your advice be for the starting steps? How would someone get started?
My advice, first of all, would be you've got to look at yourself as having two incomes. You've got your active income, which would be your job, or it could be, if you don't like your job, you want to get out of your job, it could be in property, so it could be deal selling, it could be getting rent to rents, it could be property management, whatever it is. But you've got your active income that you've got to work for. You've then got your passive income. So for me, when I started, my first goal was my lifestyle. So my first goal was to get my active income up, because I was broke, right? And I wanted to have a nice life. I wanted nice cars. I wanted to live in a nice house. I wanted to be able to eat out when I wanted to. And I wanted the freedom, because money gives you freedom, right? But that comes around, for me, from my active income. But then at the same time, when my active income was increasing, I was putting more aside to invest, which is your second type of income, which is your passive income. And that is when you're building up your property portfolio, and that's what's going to make you rich in the background. That part's slower than your active income. But that's the part that's going to make you rich. So what I would suggest is to start learning about investing. You know, you probably already make an active income, great, but start learning about investing. How can you start investing in property? How can you learn the best ways to invest in property? How can you learn about flips? How can you learn about buy, refurbish, refinance? This is going to make you big money. How can you get into property development? That'd be my top tips. How about you?
I would say, I agree with everything you said, and I'd also say it's not necessarily an actionable tip, but I would say don't overthink things and don't let beliefs stop you. You know, like I thought property was for really people that had a lot of money and people that were really smart, and I'm neither of those things. Well, I wasn't at the time. You know, I'm still not smart, but I'm rich with happiness now, and so I wouldn't let that kind of stop you. I would just think, right, if there's other people that have done it, like myself and yourself and hundreds of others, then it's always possible. But you just need to take one step at a time and get your foot in the door, put yourself in the right rooms, find people around you that can help you, that have been there, done it, and worn the t-shirt, and follow in the other footsteps. I've always been told, since I was a young kid, when I was in school, don't copy the person next to you because it's cheating. Well, now it's like in business, what I've realised is if you want to be successful, you need to copy down to a T what that other person's doing.
Yeah.
So I would find people that are successful, people that you aspire to be like, and copy what they've done, copy their steps.
You can't use the schools. The whole school system is designed, though, for us to go and get a job, to be happy with the 26 grand a year because we're in the top 50%.
Yeah.
The whole school system is not. The school system is not designed for you to get rich.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. But the other thing I would say is when you are investing, choose something that you know and invest in that. So it might not be property. I mean, I suggest property because I think property investing is the best investment. It's stood the test of time over a long period of time. If you look at the Sunday Times Rich List, which is the 1,000 richest people and families in the UK, 25% of them have made their money from investing in property.
Yeah.
So it obviously works. But if you know something else, if you're a trader, or you know a lot about Bitcoin, you want to invest in that, or businesses, that's fine. But I would stick to what you know. I'd choose a thing. Don't get the shiny penny syndrome, where the grass is always greener on the other side. If you're a property investor and then Bitcoin comes along, don't be like, oh, I'm going to take money out and put it into this. I'm going to take money out and put it into this. Just stick with something, because it does take time to get rich. It doesn't take a long time to earn a nice income. It does take time to get rich. So you've got to be patient as well.
I think property is a great vehicle as well, because property is never going to go out of fashion.
No, we're always going to want to live in properties, right?
Yeah, people aren't just going to decide one day, oh, I don't fancy living in a house today.
What would you fancy living in instead? The moon.
That'd be pretty cool. I actually do want to go to the moon one day.
Do you?
Do you? Would you? If you had an opportunity, would you go to space?
I'm not like excited by it. I know a lot of very rich people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and Richard Branson. They're trying to create these like SpaceX programs, and it doesn't really do it for me. Like, okay, I'm out there, great. I'm in the middle of nowhere.
I want to experience zero gravity.
You can do that though. You can get rooms that do that.
No, but that's like where they, you get blown up by the wind with the fans, and but that's not.
It's not actually it. But you don't want to experience actually it, because that would just be throwing you out into space and you'd die.
Well, no, but you could be in a spaceship and do it in that.
Yeah, but then you might as well be in the room. You're not doing it either. You're in a room.
No, but in the room, it's like you've got a helmet on. You've got, there's like a little tube and stuff. I mean, I'm a big guy. I want to be able to float around. I want to experience it. I think it'll be fun.
Do you really want to go to space? I'm not that bothered about going to space.
Are you not?
What would you do? What would you do?
The view.
Oh yeah, I can see a photo of that. It's like, oh yeah, oh look, there's Earth. It's just a ball 'cause it's miles away.
Imagine going to space with
Nothing
you. It would be
else
the
now.
worst experience ever.
Well, I can't make any money.
I'd be there like
I
getting
can't do
pictures
anything.
and,
No internet. No internet.
But
I can't even cope with having no internet at home. I moved house recently. I had no internet, right? Because the guy came to fit it. He was like, oh, would you believe it? The box is broken. I have to come back next week. I'm like, what? You have to come back next week. I had a week with no internet, right? It was like, I can't believe how much I rely. I only got no music because I only use Spotify. I got no TV. It's all internet based. I had nothing. Got no computer. Nothing at all. It was like the worst thing ever. What? I don't know. You're the guy that wants to go to space. You'd have loved it.
I would have done.
Just floating around the house. It's terrible. It's terrible. So, mate, I'm not. And it's also going to cost loads of money. I'd rather buy a property than go to space. But good luck with it.
Samuel wanted to go to space.
He does.
I'm with Samuel.
Samuel had a letter from Richard Branson inviting him to go to space.
Why did he not go?
Because he thought it was a personal invite, but he actually realised he had to pay 100 grand. He was all like, oh, Richard Branson's invited me to... Oh, I've got to pay 100 grand. Not quite the same. Not quite as good. And he left it.
I don't know. I think maybe I'm going to do it one day.
Would you pay 100 grand to go?
Yeah, it's an experience.
You would? You pay 100 grand to go to space?
Yeah, it's an experience.
You don't even like experience in different countries.
What do you mean?
You go to the same country, you stay in the same hotel, you stay in the same room.
Yeah, but have you seen the hotel?
That is loserish, man. You want to go and explore. Literally, guys, he goes to Dubai, he goes to the exact same hotel, stays in the exact same room, has the exact same meals. He's like, yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, but the hotel...
But you don't want to go to different hotels, you want to go to different countries, right?
I do as well. I go every quarter. I don't know what you want me to say. You sit in your room and you just read books and keep yourself to yourself. I'll go to space. I'll, do all of that stuff. You just keep yourself to yourself and try and get your internet sorted.
Okay, well, either way, we can both be rich while we're doing it, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so that has been the Property Investors Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Russell Leeds.
My name's Ricci Mandal.
We'll see you next week.